what's happening in the world of dawah on TikTok.
Shahadas, left, right, center.
Subhanallah.
Shahadas everywhere.
Unbelievable.
All kinds. I had 2 this month. People are just really interested in Islam after this Palestinian, because people have really fallen for the narrative for generations, and the generation of their parents telling them, Palestinian is bad. These are people that are violent people, and now that they see, there's the reaction on social media, it's changing public opinion. So everybody's like, okay, but I was told this by my mom and my dad that these people are the bad guys, but it seems like they're the other guys are the bad guys and the Muslims are the good guys. So
Yeah.
A lot of people are becoming Muslim. I even did a live stream on last month, the beginning of last month, and I was on the road. I was just doing a live stream, and I always have my camera pointed outward so they can see the road and then the beautiful creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this one Native American woman was like, look, I'm very interested in Islam, and I've decided that I want to be a Muslim right now. And I was like, I put on the headset, I'm driving a big rig, and I was like, okay, repeat after me. And she became a Muslim.
SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. We've seen these videos of people who are just talking about getting the Quran and the reaction to buying the Quran. We've only seen like a small video, 1 minute of different compilations. Is this like something taken off on TikTok, this getting the Quran and reacting to it?
I think it is. I mean, I think that Americans, I think the West is like trend based or inspired.
Yeah.
If something's going on social media, and that's why TikTok and social media is so important, they jump on it. They're like, why not? And you and I discussed this before with Western people. It's like, okay, this Hispanic guy over here, he's reading the Quran, and I'm Hispanic. I'm going to do it too. Why not?
Yeah.
And especially the white people, they're just like, okay, we have white women over here. We have, guys in cowboy hats, wanting to read the Quran. And you would think that's like a right-winger extremist. They're all interested in the Quran now. Why can't I be, And that's why I don't mean to, draw importance to myself, but that's why people like me that are American, born and raised in this country, Caucasian, are really important in the dawah, especially on TikTok, because people have to see that, I've been Muslim for 32 years. I have 7 children that are Muslim, and my wife, so you can be Muslim, and you don't have to look like, what we discussed last time. You don't have to lose your identity or dress up like Lawrence of Arabia. You want a ball cap, cowboy hat, cowboy boots, whatever you want. It's all about the belief that's in your heart that's important. That's the only thing that would change. Be yourself. You don't have to do some initiation or whatever. Believe me, I get DMs every single day from white Christian people, from atheists, from, what, are you really a Muslim? Wow. Like, come on, man, between you and me, are you doing something like monetarily? Are you like funded by Saudi Arabia or something? I mean, come on, tell us what's going on, really. And I'm like, I am a Muslim. There's no money in it. When I became Muslim, my father wrote me out of a $600,000 inheritance. I assure you that I'm not in this for the money. It's because I really believe in Islam, and you should look into it too. And they're like, okay, where do I start? And I'm like, well, you go to arcview.org or over here, over there. I always send the new shahadas to you.
Subhanallah. Now, check this out. The companion and the Khalifa, Uthman ibn Affan, was known in his Khilafah to do things that were not the Sunnah, the opposite of the Sunnah. And people would ask him, for example, how he would wear his shawl, how he would wear his ring, the kind of sandals, in other words, visible things, the length of surahs to recite, things the whole community can see. And people would ask him, oh, Khalifa, Uthman, we attended the life of Umar. We attended the Khilafah of Abu Bakr. And they imitated the Prophet, peace be upon him. You are doing the opposite of those things. Why is that? How can you explain it? For example, did Uthman lose his piety that he doesn't follow the Prophet anymore? No, he said to show you what is an obligation and what is merely a recommendation. In other words, what is something the Prophet did and what is actually part of the religion? So it's not he downgrading what the Prophet did or the imitation of that, but he is upgrading the knowledge of the difference between the two. And it's so important to know that there are a lot of things in Islam. Some of them are obligations, some of them are recommendations, and some of them are light virtues, light recommendations, and some of them are habits of the Prophet, peace be upon him, right? Such as what foods he ate versus what he didn't eat, what he liked versus what he didn't like, okay? Versus something he encouraged you to do, right? That would be a sunnah. Something that with it's threatened punishment if you don't do it. That's an obligation. So it's so important to know the difference between these things. And that's why it's critical for someone like yourself to come really with the lowest common denominator. Like, what is the least physical change I have to do to my body and my life to be a Muslim? Because people need to know that. They need to know what is the least. Because a lot of times people they're going to ask themselves, I want to do this, but give me, what do they call it in business? Least viable, minimum viable product. The MVP, the minimum viable product. I want to do it. Give me the least. When I training as a trainee, as a runner, training as a runner, I told him, listen, I'm very busy. Give me the minimum that I have to do. And he gave me the minimum, right? So that's why it's so important to be doing what you're doing. The way you're doing it is to have that minimum viable product of what it takes to be a Muslim. Make the barrier of entry very easy. Okay.
People have crazy assumptions. Yeah. People have crazy assumptions. Like you said, when they contact me, they're like, I'm really interested in Islam, but I still drink. I still have a girlfriend. I still do this and that. I'm like, that's a sin that you're doing. That don't let that keep you from becoming a Muslim.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people out there. I mean, there's even Muslims that have misconceptions about what is haram and halal and everything else. Non-Muslims are really lost in the sauce. I mean, they ask me, why do you hate Jesus and what? They have absolutely no clue about Islam.
It's insane. And a brother came and he said, listen, here, I want to become Muslim, but I don't know if I'm worth it. I'm worthy of it. I don't know if I'm worthy of it. Yeah. I said to him, it has nothing to do with you being worthy. This is a debt you owe to God. He was shocked. He was like, oh, that makes it really easy. It's a debt you owe to God to admit with your mouth that he exists, he's alone worthy of worship, and that his final prophet, Muhammad, was a true prophet that is worthy of being followed. And he's like, that makes my decision so easy. It took Shahada right there on the spot. So that his conception was that this is an elite club of pious people, right? Where it's not. This is the debt you owe to God. Simple as that.
You remember that guy, Rob? You remember that guy, Rob, that gave Shahada?
Yeah.
And I sent him to you, and he's making, he's doing the classes with you, or he was doing them. Same thing with him. Mm-hmm. He said, I had known about Islam all the time. I've known about Islam for years, and I considered it, but a certain group of people, Wahhabiyya, that always kept me away from Islam, right? So I knew that I didn't want to be a part of that, because that sounds like, he called the Wahhabis like the Pharisees and Christians. They're like the Pharisees to me, so I don't really think I want to. But long story short is, he said, but, when I watched your videos, he said, I've been watching you for 3 months, even before I took. You don't know me, but I'm on live stream right now.
Ajib.
And I've been watching you. That's the first thing. Those first words out of his mouth. He said, hey, man, I've been watching you for a while now. And ABC 1, 2, 3. And I was just wondering, can you lead me through the Shahada? I'm ready.
SubhanAllah.
And he explained to me himself. And this is a guy who was on TikTok as well. He's got, since he's been Muslim since June 27th, he's got like 10 people that converted to Islam by his dawah. 10. So the guy that I converted, he converted 10 people, and he's just like, he's a monster. He's a beast.
SubhanAllah. That's amazing.